So, it's been a while since I've reviewed a game, and the last time was over a year ago, if not a year and a half now, where I reviewed The Suffering. And I just thought it'd be about time to sort of go back to looking at old LPs and the games I played and what I really thought of them, and how the LP in general went, I think. Today is Dead Space's turn. Now, I don't know if you can probably still tell due to the icon I have on YouTube, I loved the first Dead Space game. I thought it was an absolutely fantastic piece of work the entire way through. Barring one or two little weird sort of things it had with it, and generally incredibly impressive. So this review might kind of be a no-brainer, but hey, we're going to go for it anyway. Now, with the reviews, I don't score. I never give you a score at the end, because I don't think scores are, like, particularly useful. Saying something is a 9 out of 10 or something is a 9.5 out of 10 doesn't really tell you why or what's particularly useful about a game. Whereas I think the words are what you should be listening to, really, in terms of reviews. So, let's get on to the point of it. I tend to do reviews in a particular way. In this case, I look at the graphics, not particularly in terms of how good the graphics are, but how well do they fit the theme aesthetically. Now, what I mean by that is, do they set out to do the job they're intended to do, I suppose is the best way to look at that. If they don't, why don't they? We're going to look at the sounds. Like, again, not necessarily is it CD quality sound or 16-bit sound, depending on what kind of game it is. More down to the fact that, does the sound do what it needs to do? We're going to look at the gameplay, same reasons, and we're going to look at generally sort of the sort of playability and like the general conclusion of the game. Is it worth picking up? And then at the end, as always, I'll do a quick minute or two on how I thought my LP went, which is a bit more difficult because self-critique is always difficult, especially from so long ago as well. Anyway, let's get to the sort of meat of this then. Of this all off the cuff, so you have to apologise. I always do things off the cuff. I don't like having scripts. I find myself being a bit more natural if I can just talk, because I don't know, I'm sort of like weird English idiot man, and that's how I like to roll. Woohoo! Anyway, Dead Space. Dead Space came out in, I think it was 2008, and I would say a surprise hit, but I was following it for a long time before it came out. There were comics released for it. There was a movie in the works. All this sort of marketing gearing up, ready to go. I think it was Ben Templesmith did a set of Dead Space comics before the game release, and they were fantastic. And they were animated and put on YouTube and the weird Dead Space website that was up at the time. And you could see what happened on the Ishimura and what sort of led up to the events of Dead Space. And it was great, and it really built this atmosphere. And you're thinking, wow, what the hell is going on? This weird sort of virus or something, this monsters are appearing, that's crazy. I want to know what happens. So, sure enough, people in the UK might giggle at this. I ran into Woolworths on the day it came out, picked up Dead Space along with Devil May Cry? I don't know. I originally picked up on the Xbox, but obviously my LP was on the PC, but that's the version we're going to be talking about. But anyway, picked up the version, and played it, and I was blown away. It was great, and it was fantastic, and I stopped, because I knew that I was going to do an LP of it. And I had about 500-600 subscribers at the time, and people said, "Oh, we want you to do Dead Space. We want you to do Dead Space." I was like, "Okay, that's cool. I shall wait and get that sorted." The PC release was a little bit later, I think. It was like a month later or something like that. And anyway, it released. I played it. It was great. And let's sort of go from there. So, looking aesthetically, graphically at the game, then, how well does Dead Space present itself? You straight away get into this beautiful sci-fi setting with these holographic heads-up displays, and you get these sort of interesting panels and lots of bits and these spaceships, and you suddenly fly in through like this asteroid belt, and then it all goes tits up and you end up going crashing onto the Ishimura, and the entire opening sequence is like, whoa, this is awesome, what's going on? You walk into a room and suddenly hell goes loose, there's dust in the air, these monsters come down to you in flashing lights, you're running, and all this in the first 5 minutes, and you're going, whoa, you can't even take it all in. But when you take a few seconds to step back and have a look, the game beautifully sets up a sci-fi setting. It's fantastic. The heads-up displays, especially coming out of the visors, look great. You can rotate around Isaac and see the videos play from any direction. You can read things from any direction. The shops, the way even the goodies pick up that you find inevitably in the toilets. Yeah, definitely in that game. All of it looks great as it's coming out from your chest piece, and you can see stuff, and it's great. The suit that Isaac wears, which is now almost so infamous of how it looks with the 3 visor lines. Initially starting out with one big sort of green face mask, going to 2, then 3 visors. It just looks great. The engineering suit, especially the way it moves, you get this whole almost gritty sci-fi look to it. You really think this man could have been in some engineering ducks and fucking around with the ship. And it really shows. Oh, fantastic stuff. The Ishimura itself always looks dark, dank and scary and spooky. It's always an oppressive atmosphere. Corridors are thin, corridors are dark and they're low, and it gives you lots of sort of panicking. You know, things could be behind any panel, but you can't tell. All this, nothing even needs to happen, but all this is set up in such a way that graphically you look at a room and you think, shit, this room terrifies me just by standing in it. That is a good sort of look. That is a perfect look for a horror game. Now, I know Dead Space does do the old rah jump scare a lot, but still, what they had there builds on the atmosphere. The overall look graphically works. It is a futuristic sci-fi setting. It is a good futuristic sci-fi setting. It's almost the opposite of Alien Isolation. I don't mean that Alien Isolation is bad, I just mean Alien Isolation goes for the 70s sci-fi, whereas this goes for the futuristic sci-fi. Everything's holograms, everything's shiny, everything has lights, everything looks clean. And it just, wow, that's all I can say. I can't even think of any particularly bad points about the graphics. Obviously I'm not going to go purely on age, because of course the models won't necessarily look as good these days, blah blah blah. That doesn't matter. But what it's set out to do is provide a sci-fi experience that looks genuine, is interesting, and has an oppressive atmosphere, and it really did all that. The game, it looks nothing short of terrific in terms of everything it set out to do, I think. I would have no... I'd have no problems, like, at all with anything the game does graphically. It was a good looking game. Now, looking on to speaking of the models, I suppose, Isaac's model, the actual engineering suit and the face mask, instantly recognisable, fantastic, looks great. Kendra and some of the other characters, again, they look okay. They're not as interesting, I suppose, so they don't need to be. Nicole looks, you know, she looks fine. Don't really care about the NPCs per se, honestly. The character models, nice enough aged, they look okay, they do the job. It's Isaac's suit that really shines through, though. Isaac's look and aesthetics himself look fantastic. He looks like a cool character, he looks like a character to play as, he looks like a character to, like, fight as, he's great. The monsters I think are fantastic. The standard necromorphs especially, just seeing those for the first time, those things suddenly fly up with these claws, screaming at you, bits of jaw flying off, you shoot off his head, he goes apeshit, you blow off one of his arms, he still comes at you. All of the design, like the way you can slice them up, the way you can like flick them up, pick them up, throw them, brilliant, absolutely brilliant. The design, the sheer work and thought that going in each of the monsters, the standard necromorphs, the pregnant necromorphs, the scary, vomiting turkey necromorphs, not the space turkeys, I mean the flappy turkeys, you know what I mean, probably, turkeys anyway, so they all look great. Then you got the scary supersonic necromorphs, and they're running around at the speed of sound, and it's, great stuff. I gush because it is just well done, even after, like, essentially all these years now, if anything, it just works well. You can pick up that game immediately and be spooked the shit out of. And you can look at these monsters and these don't look like they're carefully crafted in a 3D program. They don't look like someone's gone with the polygons and got the wireframes ready and like hooked them up. They look like scary monsters from a horror movie. They look like scary things you'd see. It's great. And honestly, couldn't fault them at all. I love every single design. The bosses, I don't want to, if anything I want to do is about spoiling it, if you haven't played it and you haven't even seen the LP, maybe don't and just go see it, go play it. It's dirt cheap these days, why not? Anyway, let's end it there. I think the bosses are fantastic again, especially the old space pooper, but that should give enough imagination to everybody. Okay, going on to sound, because, oh god, I'm going to overrun otherwise. Okay, going on to sound. Now, I remember watching a documentary, and how they wanted sound to build up dynamically, so depending on where you are and what's happening, sound sort of works against you, I suppose, as the player. It tries to spook you out as much as it can, and I think it works, for the most part. I think a lot of the sound in Dead Space keeps the scares up, but it relies on some of the old tropes, where you've got what's called the scare chord, and as something builds up to happen, it goes ding, and you're like, okay, yeah, that's gonna be more aggravating than scary after a while, because it happens a lot. But honestly, it doesn't happen too much. The sound design is great, like in terms of the atmospheric sound, I suppose. But the fact they relied an awful lot on that scare chord when stuff happening was a bit silly. But the sound, it's no Silent Hill. Let's put it that way. It's no like this oppressive industrial stuff. It is very, oh god, there's a monster kind of sounds, which is fine. It does it does the job for what it does. But I think it could have done it better. I think sort of like Silent Hills, a more oppressive sound constantly is better than a brief scare chord. And like I said, the whole sounds are great. It's dun 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 as you got these monsters coming along. It's good. It's fine. And then it sort of quietens down again as you get back to the peaceful bit. And that's okay. Not my favourite though. Honestly, a great game, but I don't feel that the sound design towards the middle to end of the game particularly helped, because it got so samey to the point where monsters, jump scares, scare chords, and it's the first few times it does certain panics you. After that, not so much. Now, the thing I would love to praise about this is the sort of monster noises. I think all the Necromorphs sound great, except for the weird balloon animal Necromorphs. They're like, meow. Then you shoot them, they go and blow up and stuff. It's weird, but that's okay. Oh god, those things are funny. Then you pick up the orbs and shoot them. God, I need to play that again. It's been an awful long time. Oh man. Anyway, where was I? Yeah, I haven't got an awful lot to say about the sound. It's just the fact that it works. I'm no sound expert, unfortunately. I don't know how much I can really say. There's going to be people out there who like audiophiles who know better, but honestly, the sound is functional. I feel the horror sound gets tiresome after a while. I think they all do. And a more varied soundtrack would have helped. And the sound effects are great, though. Guns, clanging, chopping, smashing, especially in the quiet periods, are great. That keeps the sort of pressure up. That's nice. Yeah, I was maybe being a bit unfairly harsh on the sound, I think, perhaps. Certainly the sound effects in the downtime is very good, keeping you spooked because there's monsters above you, clanging around, that kind of thing, especially with headphones on. Sounds really good. And just sort of moving on to the final bit of the gameplay. Of course, the first two things really don't matter if it sucks ass when you're trying to play it, And the gameplay is fine. It's Resident Evil 4 taken to the next logical step, honestly. You can now move and shoot. You're now a lot more agile. You can sort of run around and shoot, and you can zoom around, and you can melee a lot easier. You take Resident Evil 4 and you improve everything upon it, you get Dead Space. You take Resident Evil 4 and improve nothing upon it and make it worse, you get Resident Evil 5. You can see the two paths the games took. One of them said, Resident Evil 4 is fine, but I want to make it sort of like even more sort of static, I guess. And then you got Dead Space, which is like, I want you to be able to flee from these things and shoot them and have them fly all around you, but I want you to have the agility to do something about it. Now that's good. That's really good. And it shows, because, my god, you have a lot of fun chopping limbs off. Of course, you can't straight shoot these monsters, you have to carefully dismember them, that's the entire point. And you don't want to waste ammo either, so you're carefully aiming, but the game's controls let you do that, it works. The gameplay just flows because of it. And also because of that, all the monsters are varied. You're not just shooting 3 limbs off and then kicking it, because it doesn't always work. You do that to the pregnant ones, you can have like tons of necromorph babies rolling over and you die. Or the ones that jump inside you and like nuff you up. You can't do it with all the stuff. Now, not to crap on Resident Evil 4 or anything, I think it's a fantastic game, but of course a lot of the baddies are very similar. Especially the standard ones, they are just shoot them until they drop. Pretty standard, they might be slightly faster or sturdier, but that's the general gist. Whereas with Dead Space, they are really different per enemy. I mean, you've got the ones that explode when you touch them, you've got the ones that run around really fast, you've got the ones that climb over the ceilings, that split into loads of different ones, and you've got to really approach every situation carefully, which keeps the game interesting all the way to the end. Well, that part of it really works well. Honestly, I just think it's great. The ammo system and the upgrade system works again. There's nothing wrong with it. Very functional. The upgrade system's a bit basic, but it's cool, like little functionality there. The upgrades to the suit, like oxygen, were dull and not particularly needed. The health upgrades are fine, but to be honest, you could have just given one after each boss or something. It'd have been fine. Like, having to upgrade the suit was just almost like a necessity I couldn't care about. But upgrading the weapons, the sequel expanded on this a lot better, to make them more unique, but certainly being able to shoot, make them have more damage and stuff. But the only problem is you stuck with the line gun because how damn good it was, and you stuck with the plasma cutter because same reason. So you basically walk around with the space shotgun and the space pistol and just wreck everything, which it's almost like it's probably a little fault with the game there because they make them too strong. So that's a bit of a negative, I guess. Yeah, again, there's not an awful lot more to say gameplay-wise. The biggest praise I can give it is Resident Evil 4 plus 1. It's an improved Resi 4 in space. I mean, if that doesn't sell it, I don't know what will, honestly. It does work. It sort of works wonders because of it. I suppose just mention the story. Story, honestly, is functional. As far as it goes, it gets you from A to B. It's interesting enough to keep yourself going and sort of slightly wonder what's going on, but it apes a lot of stuff. It apes a lot of stuff from Event Horizon, from Resident Evil, in fact, and a few other bits and bobs. And while in all honesty, there's nothing wrong with it, there's nothing to write home about either. It's a horror movie in space where, you've got to rescue somebody. I try not to spoil it. You've got to rescue someone and, shit goes wrong. What is there to say particularly? It gets you from A to B and it doesn't get you bored. That's all I can say about the story, honestly. I like it, but hey, it's, you know, it's no Nier. Let's put it that way. I'm trying to think of another story-driven game. Never mind, a bad analogy, but you know, it's nothing to write home about, but it's nothing wrong with it either. And that's it. But I suppose this sort of, before I rattle on for too long, is it worth your money? If listening to this so far hasn't really convinced you, then yeah, it is. Considering it's all of like 20p these days, if you haven't played it before, you may as well. It's a fantastic game that's aged extremely well, and will continue to do so, honestly. It's one of the best examples of the horror genre out there, and while it does fall into some cliche tropes, such as the girlfriend in distress stuff, the almost... I can't spoil it, damn it. It's sort of girlfriend in distress stuff, you know what I mean if you've played it. And a lot of the horror cliches of loud scare chords and things coming out from behind you and going boo. It is an incredibly good game. Like I said, odd problems aside, it plays well, it keeps you interested, and it will spook you. And what more is there? You can really immerse yourself in it. Like I said, the universe is certainly interesting enough to keep yourself going. Like I said, honestly, I think the comics and stuff before the game were a bit more interesting than the actual game itself, story-wise, but that, I think, is mainly because the gameplay took the front seat as opposed to the story. Like I said, the stories get you from A to B, but the gameplay and the scares and the atmosphere is what gets you through. Yeah, that's the game. It really is worth your money. Even if it was still £10 or £20, it is still worth your money. It's an incredible achievement. And it's where horror games should have gone from there a lot of the time. And unfortunately, we've taken a step back most of the time. We've now gone back to jump scare-rama, piss fest with stuff like Slender Man. Amnesia was a step in the right direction, but they pissed it away with A Machine for Pigs, which was dreadful. Alien Isolation, again, great step, and that's more towards the Amnesia style. But as an action horror game, this is where they should have gone from here. The sequel was a sidestep, great, but pretty much the same thing, with a few improvements. The third game just completely went to piss, and they lost their way a bit, which is a bit sad. Hopefully, maybe they can reassess this and not leave Dead Space in the, well, dust, I guess. Well, coming to that, how did I think my LP went? Now, remembering back, the LP of this was going through a time in my life where shit was going wrong a lot of the time, and considering how many times I honestly came drunk, and I had to edit this thing while completely pissed out of my face, by the way, that doesn't mean angry in the UK, that means drunk, but sorry, I should have clarified. I think it edits fairly well. I had a lot of sound issues. I had a few times when my microphone started to crackle up on me. In this one, where I had to record bits of the sets and stuff, which made it.
She didn't die, get turned.
Remember.
She lost her leg.
Overall, it went well. I was really happy with it. I think a lot of people were as well, which was always nice. I cracked 1,000 subs during this one as well, and a lot of fun moments, a lot of cool stuff happened on camera. Of course, doing it completely blind. Of course, you know, getting the stomp out and stuff. Lots of things that even stayed into LPs to this day. I was really happy with it. I know it's very easy to say that, and it's hard to critique a bit, but honestly, a lot of stuff ups on how the hardware was handling at the time. I had a lot of issues with the headset, but I think the overall LP really came out well. It's hard to remember exactly these days, but the sets were the right length. They were pretty prompt. I had a lot of fun with them. I got to muck again with other ones. I got to muck around with people, and people ask, "What happens if you do this? What happens if you do that?" People got to vote on upgrades and stuff. I really enjoyed that LP, and I hope a lot of people did too. Yeah, that's all I can say. My memory on this is it's a long time ago, and I'm trying to remember. Honestly, I think that was it was a really good LP. I think it's one of the better ones. It came out well. It was a fun game, and the game sort of plays off it, which never hurts. Oh my god, I've been going for almost 20 minutes. Sorry, Jesus, that's awful. Either way, that is my review of Dead Space. And that's it. I know I always say this, but if you want to see more of these kind of reviews, do let me know, because I'm more than happy to ramble my way through other things. Also, Valkyrie Chronicles. Yeah, I'm having trouble recording it on the PS3 right now. I'm working on it. The PS3 is being a bit of a swine. It's fuzzing out my recording software, and I don't know why. I might have to have a bit of a fiddle with it. But having a bit of fiddle with it, and I worked many hours a day is not very easy, so came home quite late, as it does tend to go. That's it. Yeah, like I said, please leave your comments and thoughts. And what did you guys think of Dead Space? You know, what did you think of the LP? What do you think of this review? That kind of thing. Let me know. It's always great to hear. And yeah, thanks for listening, guys. I know this is like a one-man podcast of what's the word? Enjoying your voice or something. It probably sounds like, but I like doing interviews. They are fun. and I hope you enjoyed them too. Thanks very much, guys, and catch you tomorrow with Alien. Peace.
Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. Up above the world so high, like a diamond